Unlike Kyle Larson's double, NASCAR themselves shined in prime time. What's up everyone, my name is Jed. Welcome back to an episode of MDK Racing Victory Sub. Yes, it's a different video. It's a day later. Got back from orientation on Sunday night at 11:30, nearly midnight, and I was exhausted. Just absolutely drained. So I spent basically the whole day just trying to recuperate and everything like that. But we are back at it again. We got 2 videos coming up here tonight or early tomorrow morning, so make sure y'all be on the lookout for that. But yes, let's get into it. NASCAR, the Coca-Cola 600 for 2025. The final time, at least for now, for the foreseeable future, the final time, the greatest day in motorsports. And for the first time in a while, NASCAR rose to the top. Indy 500 was weird race. Monaco was Monaco, aka nothing happened. But the Coca-Cola 600 had some damn good racing. Still had its flaws. We're going to discuss that in a little bit. But for the most part, it was a very entertaining race. And it capped off with a fantastic finish to the end involving 3 to 4 drivers with Carson Hocevar, William Byron. Then later on, Byron and Denny Hamlin had a fantastic scrap to the end, fighting for positions, but good, clean racing. But it was Ross Chastain who in that final pit stop decided to pit just a couple laps later, had a bit fresher tires and was able to capitalize on that, pounce on not only Denny Hamlin's misfortune with his fuel issues, we'll get to that in a little bit, but also on William Byron as Byron. He led 283 of the 400 laps, swept all the stages, absolute domination. But unfortunately, in the end, it was the Melon Man, Ross Chastain, who goes home to take home the victory for the first time in 2025. His first win since Kansas last fall, and his first crown jewel win, winning the Coca-Cola 600. I believe becomes the 8th different winner of 2025. Let's take a look at the race results here. So Ross Chastain wins, Byron in second. How about Chase Briscoe in third? A very quiet day. Started on pole, was not, didn't show so much race winning pace, but was up front in the top 10 around there for majority of the day. Look at that top 5. AJ Allmendinger. Let me tell you something about AJ Allmendinger. That car, him, colleague, they've been putting on some very, very strong runs in recent weeks. I know last weekend or a couple weeks ago at Kansas, they had that engine failure very early on. Got a little stern talking to from Richard Childress, but the past few weeks, that 16 ride, and AJ specifically, they've been putting on some very solid, strong finishes, and it shows in the run, in the results, and it shows in the playoff grid because they were outside the top 20, and with all these stage points that 16 team has earned, they jumped up big time to now just outside the playoff picture, outside the top 16. An absolutely tremendous day for AJ Allmendinger. And Brad Keselowski, former Coca-Cola 600 winner, started 35th, ends up in 5th, top 5 finish. He even mentioned that, hell, if this was a Coca-Cola 700, he could have had a shot at winning this race. And I'm not going to disagree with him on that because he had a really good car, especially in that long run. But this has always been a race that Brad Keselowski always seems to excel at. And we've seen him on the mile and a half at Kansas a couple weeks ago, where that 6th ride also showed great pace. So wonderful to see that he finally got a top 5 finish. Absolutely wonderful to see. 6 is Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott, I mean, he just did what he needed to do. I mean, he was a top 6, top 10-ish car. Didn't really show much more than that the entire weekend. Did what we expect him to run inside the top 10. Not too bad there, but Michael McDowell, another top 10 run for him. Again, another example of Spire, specifically Michael McDowell performing well on the mile and a half. So we go back to Texas a few weeks ago where he nearly had a shot at winning that race, showed good speed there at the very end. But again, not surprised to see McDowell show some strong speed in the 7th position for that 71 ride. Christopher Bell, the defending champion of this race, I should say, in 8th. Ryan Preece, another great run for him in 9th position. And Noah Gragson started 8th, finished in 10th, was in the top 10 for majority of the entirety of the race. This was what makes so fun about this race is that these different drivers that you don't expect to see to be up front, and they end up being up front. And not just up front in the end based off of pure strategy. Again, you look at the drivers I mentioned, AJ Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, Ryan Preece, and Noah Gragson. Those were drivers that showed speed up front in the top 10 for majority, if not all of the race. They show great speed. They earn those top 10 finishes. They didn't just luck their way into it through strategy. Now let's continue on. 11th place is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Started 11th and finished 11th. Good one for that 4017, specifically when he is trying to stay inside the top 16 in the playoff picture. You look at the guy behind him though, Josh Berry, who won at Vegas multiple weeks ago. 12th place finish. We're going to get to him and his fellow Ford counterparts at Team Penske because they did not show up at all today or outside of Ryan Blaney. But 13th, Eric Jones. Good run for him in that 43 team after starting in the 27th position. SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen. Hey, look, we got to give a round of applause to him. He finished in the top 15 on an oval. Hey, that's more than a dub in my book. I mean, I know that the only reason why Trackhouse brought in SVG in the first place is because of the road courses, and when we got the road courses coming up, like Mexico City, Sonoma, Watkins Glen. Well, Watkins Glen is before the playoffs this year, but we know that they brought him in for that. But still, it is nice to see SVG gain some confidence to be able to finish well on these ovals. He showed good pace in the Open at North Wilkesboro last Sunday. So he's getting better. He obviously wasn't there the entirety of the race. This is, again, through pit strategy and through capitalizing on other drivers' misfortunes. But still, he had to stay up there in the top 15, and he did just that. So excellent job for him in that 88 crew. Kyle Busch in 15th. Denny Hamlin in 16th. So him and William Byron had a great battle at the very end. Denny Hamlin, I thought, had a real good shot at winning this race. I had Byron winning, but in the closing laps, or closing stage, I should say, I thought Denny Hamlin had Byron's number. Unfortunately, pit road was the reason why Denny Hamlin finished so far low in the running order. So the way they pitted a bit earlier, but in order to do that, and in order to leapfrog William Byron, but in order to do that, they need to have exact amount of fuel, no spillage, no nothing like that. They didn't get a fully full of fuel, so they had to make a pit stop very late in the race. They had to forfeit the lead and end up forfeiting the second position before coming onto pit road. So the picture doesn't tell the full story because, seventh in stage 1, second in stage 2. He was up front, especially as the race transitioned into nighttime, but he was able to get some stage points, so that is a good thing for him. But again, picture doesn't tell the full story because he had a really, really good car, especially in the nighttime, and had a shot at winning this race. But ultimately, you got to capitalize, especially on pit road. They didn't do that, and they end up going in 16th place. 17th was Joey Logano. Now, he did cause some controversy because many people looked at him as the reason why William Byron lost the race because of how he was holding up Willie B in those closing laps of the race, because Logano was off. Like, the whole day was off pace. Started 16th. He finished 17th, but that is a miracle because there were at times he was so far below the running order. He just did not have a good day at all. 18th is Todd Gilliland. 19th, Ty Dillon, and his brother Austin rounds out the top 20. Here's some notables. Connor Zilic in 23rd. Unlike at Coda with his first Cup star where he got taken out by his teammate Daniel Suarez, to run the 600, NASCAR's longest race, the thing that he needed to do was to run all the laps, and he sort of did all that. He was 2 laps down at the finish, but even though he got into an issue with Jimmy Johnson earlier in the race, he was still able to rebound, log laps, and was able to come home with a top 25 finish. That's not too shabby, I believe, for that number 87 crew and for that young Connor Zilic. Behind him is Ty Gibbs in 24th and Cody Ware the top 25. Tyler Reddick in the 26th position. Now, he had a really good car, but unfortunately, he was penalized on pit road late in the race, but he, in my opinion, did have a good shot. Maybe not at winning, but definitely at least having a top 5 finish. Second and third in stage 1, stage 2 had really good pace earlier in the race in the daytime, contending with Kyle Larson and William Byron for that race lead. But like I said, with that late race penalty on pit road, that took away any shot of him having a good race, a good shot at winning. And he nearly wrecked the leader, William Byron, as he was a lap down. Coming over to number 2, just lost it, hits the outside wall. Again, right in front of William Byron, near disaster for that 24 team. But yeah, we move on. 27th, the John Hunter Nemechek again started out very strong. Stage 1 and stage 2, 4th and 5th, got valuable stage points. So Legacy Motor Club, they did show speed this weekend, but ultimately John Hunter Nemechek fell off and finished in 27th. 28th is Riley Herbst. Alex Bowman in 29th. He spun, I believe, at the end of stage 1. And I don't know if that broke a toe link or if that had some issues. I would assume it had some type of issues with his car because he did not show any form of pace after that incident, ended up finishing in the 29th position. And 30th is Justin Haley. Cindric in 31st, he just did not show any pace at all. It was just horrible today. 32nd, Derek Kraus in his first Cup start. Josh Bilicki in 33rd, he had a tire. He lost a tire earlier in the race, I believe in stage 2, where he lost a tire and was off of the pace, or I should say off of the racetrack for multiple laps on end. And then Carson Hocevar, 34th. I've said this a lot with Carson. He will win a race. And it will happen this year. That 77 car and him specifically are too damn good. He will win a race. Eventually, don't know when, but he will eventually win a race. He has such a good car. Such a good car. That's 4th in stage 2. Again, as the race transitioned into nighttime, you saw that 77 car really rise up. He was fast in practice. He spun in his qualifying lap. That's why he started second to dead last. But he showed great pace, great speed in practice. So it wasn't a surprise. But boy, did he bring the fight to Hamlin and Byron. Fantastic battle with those 3 drivers. And it seemed as though, like I said, he was en route to potentially becoming the first rookie since Matt Kenseth in 2000 to win the Coca-Cola 600. On a restart though, engine blown up, expired right in front of the field, and then gets got up in a crash to wrap it all off. Absolutely just tough pill to swallow for Carson Hocevar, because again, he had, in my opinion, a car that was very capable of winning this race. But unfortunately, instead of having a shot at winning, he ends up in 34th. 35th is Bubba Wallace. He did not have a good day. He just showed virtually no pace. I think he got to as high as maybe 23rd. I mean, he just was not good at all in this race. Daniel Suarez finishes 36th. He was involved in a crash between him and I believe the 3 of Austin Dillon and Ryan Blaney on the front straightaway coming to start finish line. To make contact, Suarez spins and bam, just hits Kyle Larson, ending Kyle Larson's horrible double day as Larson finished behind Suarez in 37th and Blaney finishes in 38th. Zane Smith, he got loose and spun off for turn number 2 and slammed the inside wall a ton, finishes 39th. And I mentioned Jimmy Johnson was caught up in that crash with Connor Zilic earlier in the race. He also lost off for turn number 4 and he crashed, ends up in dead last. Overall, what are my thoughts on this race? I thought this race was very fun, a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, me being, I was at the racetrack as part of the NASCAR internship. So being at the racetrack, the crowd was very energetic. You could tell there was a lot of hype, a lot of excitement, and anticipation for this event. And it was a fantastic finish. I mean, being in the crowd, I was over there in the turn 1 section, and the crowd was getting hyped every single time you saw Chastain get closer and closer and closer to William Byron. So it was a very fun race, very fun event. There are still issues that we do need to discuss in terms of the aero blocking. I mean, multiple times, for example, you saw a driver like Denny Hamlin who could get close, but then you see Byron just make an adjustment, take his line, and poof, Hamlin couldn't do anything about it. But same story, different verse, because again, we're just going to get into the same repetitive nonsense. But it was a very fun race. But what made it even more fun was the commentary. I went back and I listened through Prime's coverage, and wow. Prime, they set the standard. Now, granted, they use NBC's people. And if NBC's people was that good, I can't wait to see what NBC themselves bring in 2025 when they kick off their coverage later on in the year. But they killed it. First off, the pre-race. I love that the fact that they had it at the track. They had an actual studio. It reminded me of like 2015, 2016 NBC or 2011 Fox when they, had a studio, had like that college game day, NASCAR race day type of feeling to it. Like I said, energetic crowds. You could feel the excitement. You got more hyped up for the race, which made it that much more entertaining. Can't wait for the race to even begin. And then, you look at the commentary itself. The three people on there, Daniel Trotta, who, if you've known Daniel Trotter, you know from the NASCAR Race Hub days when it was on the Speed Channel back then. Class act. To see Carl Edwards back, and you could tell like Carl Edwards was energetic. He was excited to be involved in NASCAR again, and Corey LaJoie. All three of them, like they were a really good mixture. What also was a really, really good mixture was a commentary trio up in the booth of Dale Jr., Steve Letarte, and Adam Alexander. I've always said this was Adam Alexander. He's a guy that you could put in with anybody and he can just make it work. I mean, we saw him how he did with the Xfinity series on Fox. He's just able to work with anybody. And this was another example. And this is similar to the CW booth. What I love, and a huge difference with Fox, it always felt like they couldn't wait for the race to end. Harvick was, he's very analytical, but just not TV, type, and always seems to be sending shots at Boyer, always trying to send something at Boyer. Boyer is that class clown that, he can be very informative when he wants to be, but I don't know if it's a Fox thing that or what, but always has him wear the class clown hat too many times. And with Mike Joy, even though he's a legend in the booth, he does have its moments. Those three just don't work together. These three on Prime, AA, Junior, and Letarte, they work together. They work very well together. They flow together, and they're all three energetic. Like I said, it reminds me of the CW booth, with Adam Alexander, Jamie McMurray, and Parker Kligerman. You can tell that they're excited. With the battles between Byron and Chastain, Byron and Hamlin, Larson and Byron early on in the race, you can tell they're excited. They're happy. They're like involved in the race, and that's what it makes it much more entertaining to listen to. And the fans can see it. They can see if a commentary is like, oh, they're just dreading for a caution or they're dreading for the end. Or they can see when the booth is actually interested in what is going on. And that goes a long way. Not to mention Prime. Graphics, really, really good. They weren't too much in your face. They were simple, but still gave you all the information that you needed. The video quality was so much crispier, as well as the audio. The audio was very good. It's a little bit, needs some little tweaks, but for the most part, the sound quality was a lot better, miles better, much more crispier than what it was on Fox. They used better camera angles. But the thing that surprised me a lot was commercials. Number one, they stayed true to their word. We didn't miss a single green flag lap of action. Anytime we went to commercial, it was always side by side. But one thing though that shocked me, and I heard about this, that Prime, with 60 or so laps to go, went commercial free to the end. I have never heard of that, of a race coverage going that long without having a commercial break, especially towards the end of the race. I mean, hell, it was about a month ago or so where we saw Fox go to commercial twice under 15 to go at Talladega. And with Prime, they didn't go to commercial break in the last 60 laps. Not to mention another part of the camera angles, the drone camera. I don't know who's in charge of that, but he was absolutely fantastic. Like the drone shots were really, really good. They were able to capture very up close scenes, and it wasn't like with Fox where they kind of just went all willy nilly with it. I mean, that drone camera was top notch, whoever was in charge of that. But back to the commercials. Brett B. Photo posted this on Twitter, and it's just, it tells you it's night and day between Fox and Prime. So the 2022 Coca-Cola 600 on Fox had the same rough time length in terms of race coverage compared to the 2025 Coke 600. So this is a good example. Fox had 63 minutes, so just over an hour of traditional commercials, so full screen commercials. Compare that to Prime that only had 9. Then you look at minutes of side-by-side commercial. Fox had 13, while Prime had 42. But the part I want to keep note of is the total number of companies or entities advertised. So the different amount of companies that advertised during the race. In 2022, the one on Fox had 24. So you saw a lot of repetition. Compare that to Prime that had 45, nearly double. So you got more bang for your buck because we had to deal with less commercials, but the commercial that we did see was a different variety. It wasn't the same thing of Bread's Tree or I don't know, whatever commercials were airing just over and over and over again on Fox. Over here on Prime, you saw much different. You saw so many different types of commercials. And the beauty about with Prime is that whenever they came back from commercial, they would show things that we miss. You know, they did a good job on how they cover with the Tyler Reddick incident, right? You know, that happened right in front of William Byron. They missed it, but they made sure to show it to you in a timely manner to let you know, hey, we missed this, but this is what happened. I thought that Prime, for its first broadcast, and that's the thing that makes me so happy. It was its first broadcast. It still had some issues that will be tweaked out, but for its first broadcast was damn good. Set the standards for what NASCAR broadcasting should be nowadays, because it felt like a throwback to its heydays in the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe up to the 2010s of how NASCAR broadcasting should be. I know that there are some people, small portion of people. I know that there are some old heads out there, and I hate to say that, but there are some people out there that, hated like Amazon being or NASCAR being on Prime. Like, oh, I'm not paying for Prime. Guys, I'm telling you, with how Prime produced this race, I am so for it. Like, I would love more races on Prime. I mean, here's the thing. A lot of us NASCAR fans have stated that we'd be okay with paying money for commercial-free coverage. Yeah, we had to do it side-by-side, but still, it was side-by-side, but it wasn't even that big of a deal. It wasn't like it was happening every 10 laps we would get side-by-side coverage. It was done in a timely manner. We were still able to get racing without having to be interrupted so many times by commercials. And the coverage in itself on race time was just that good. I mean, hell, we had an hour and a half post-race show? When was the last time you saw a post-race show get that much coverage? The amount of interviewers that Amazon had, the amount of drivers that they covered, a full in-depth step-by-step race breakdown, even interviewed Byron twice. They had him interview just after he got out of the car, then they interview again with him at the stage, as well as Ross Chastain. I'm sorry, I'm getting all giddy, but it was just that good. It was that good of a broadcast. Like, it's something that we have been missing. That Fox, it showed how so far behind Fox is. And I would even argue that it even showed that NBC has to step up a little bit. But I say that because NBC produced this race. So I have some hope. That NBC's coverage will be even better in 2025, but it was such a throwback. And I think that's what made this race much more fun. Was it the most exciting Coke 600? No, it was a really good race of the year, probably for now, but it did have a little bit of its flaws. It wasn't amazing, but it was really, really good. But I felt like the broadcast pushed it to another level, and that is important. A race may be good, but it's up to the storytellers, that being the broadcast, that gets you to the line. And if they can do it in a way that makes you feel much more entertained, then they're doing its job, and it makes the race much more enjoyable than what it actually is. So I felt like Prime smashed it. I cannot wait for their next race at Nashville on Sunday. It is going to be awesome to watch because, again, with their broadcast, it's just going to get better and better. Real quick, let's talk about Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson, oh boy. That was, I don't know the history of all the doubles, but that was probably one of the most disappointing doubles ever. I mean, combination of total, Kyle Larson completed 595 of the 1,100 laps, or 100 miles. He nearly completed the Coke 600, nearly. But yeah, again, it was disappointing. I mean, we knew that Kyle Larson 2025 was different when you saw how he approached the Indy 500 compared to last year, where it looked as though that Larson could have been an actual contender. This year, he had multiple crashes, multiple incidents, and the car just was not fast. And then you saw what happened during the race, where we had that rain delay. And based on how the weather affected the race, Larson would more than likely would not have finished the race. So he would have had to leave early, before the ending of the Indy 500 to go to Charlotte, because with everything that happened with the playoff waiver, the Kyle Larson rule, Larson had to be in Charlotte. So, and then made a mistake, just downshifted into third, or I think into fourth, heading into turn number 2, and just lost the car, ended up taking out Stingray Robb and I think another driver in that mess. It was just not a good day. Then you go into Charlotte, started out great, started second, was running in contention with William Byron, led a couple laps, and then spun by himself early in the race. Looked like he bent a toe link, and his car was just never the same after that. Then he got caught up in that crash with Daniel Suarez later in the race. It was disappointing. Because there was so much hype heading into this month. Started off the month strong with Kansas with the win there, but ending it like that was very disappointing, to say the least. But yeah, if I were to give a rating for this race, I give this like a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was really good. I do feel like there were better Coke 600 in the past, but this was, by no means, do not underestimate this. This was a really good race. I had a lot of fun rewatching this race. I had a lot of fun at the track watching the race. Had a lot of fun rewatching it. Yeah, it was an incredible weekend as part of the internship, the orientation program. I got to meet some really cool people that were involved in the internship. Hung out with some of the people in the infield in order to have them have a really good experience, because a lot of them didn't know anything about NASCAR. So it was fun to hang out with them to make sure they got a good experience. And to be in the driver's meeting, because as part of the internship, we were allowed to enter the driver's meeting. So we got to see the drivers. We got to see all the big people. It was kind of funny that Bubba Wallace was like maybe 2 or 3 feet away from me. He entered into the driver's meeting sitting on Riley Herb's lap, which I thought was very funny, but it's still surreal. I mean, surreal. Some of the things I experienced this weekend is still shocking to me, even though I've been a NASCAR fan for like over a decade. Still, some of the things I witnessed that weekend were just like, whoa. So if my voice is gone, because the whole weekend was just absolutely crazy, and it was just awesome, absolutely unreal. So huge thank you to everyone at that internship orientation program, Jordan, Bella, everyone there involved that helped, setting up this whole event. It was a lot of fun, ton of fun, and I can't really thank anyone. And I also, again, I cannot underestimate how much I thank you to the people that have been watching me throughout all these years, because I definitely believe I got this because of you guys. If you guys did not watch me, I would not have this YouTube channel. I definitely did not think I would be a part of this internship program. So this is all happening because of you. So thank you to each and every single one of you. Again, I'm going to try my hardest, even though I'm working with NASCAR. I got NASCAR, then I got schoolwork coming up. I'm going to still find a way to make time for y'all, so do not worry about that. I will be still posting as many videos as I possibly can. In fact, I do have a couple videos coming out later this week, so we'll get into that later on. But that is it. Thank y'all so much for watching this episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. Tell me what your thoughts on the race in the comment section down below. As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, my name is Jet from MDK. Thanks for watching.